I can tell you it was something straight out of a spy novel. The half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong Un arriving at an airport in Malaysia on Monday, where he's greeted by two strangers on a mission, apparently to assassinate him. That, according to South Korea's Yonhap news agency. Now, South Korea said Kim Jong Nam, the elder half-brother of the North Korean leader, was reportedly killed by two females who may have injected or doused him with some kind of poison or toxic chemical at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The suspects then hailed a cab and managed to flee the scene. This was not the first attempt, though, on Kim Jong Nam's life. He was once considered the heir apparent to lead North Korea, but he fell out of favor with his father, Kim Jong-il, after a failed attempt to enter Japan in 2001, where he apparently used a forged passport because he said he wanted to visit Tokyo's Disneyland. So many questions still remain, and joining us now to tell us what we do know, we are joined in Washington by VOA Senior Diplomatic correspondent Steve Herman, along with the host of VOA's Asia in a Minute, reporter-producer Steve Miller. I thank you both for joining us. Steve Miller, I know there's some new developments here. There is a Vietnamese-Indonesian connection. What can you tell us about these suspects?
Well, Malaysian authorities scoured the CCTV footage, and earlier this week they picked up the first woman who matched the description from the CCTV footage, a Vietnamese person, or at least someone holding a Vietnamese passport. And then the next day, they identified a second woman who was holding an Indonesian passport, and then a third person was apprehended, the boyfriend of the Indonesian woman.
So we do have these, and I assume they're being interrogated as we speak. But Steve Herman, we hadn't heard much about North Korean leader's older brother until now. Why would someone want him killed?
Oh, for obvious reasons. He is part of the bloodline of the founder of North Korea, Kim Il-sung. So in the eyes of the North Korean people, he could be a legitimate leader as much as Kim Jong-un is.
But had he ever expressed any desire to sort of take over that position?
No. In fact, he had said he did not want to lead the country, but he had made remarks criticizing Kim Jong-un and said he did not believe in third-generation succession. These are very political, provocative comments, especially in a totalitarian society with a lot of paranoia around the leadership. A lot of people over the years close to the Kims have disappeared or been executed, so no surprise.
That's not surprising, but Steve Miller, why now?
It's unclear, really. That's the big question. Why now? There were some reports in South Korean media last week that are unsubstantiated that perhaps Kim Jong Nam was thinking about defecting to either South Korea or the United States. That's something that South Korean intelligence has not confirmed, has not said anything about, but that may have played into it. But again, those are completely unsubstantiated reports.
And Steve Miller, I guess for the grandson of Kim Il-sung to actually defect to the West or even South Korea, that would not go over very well with the mission of the North Korean government.
Well, there was also some speculation among defectors I've been in contact with this week who had heard rumors that Kim Jong Nam possibly would be put in place as head of a North Korean government in exile. And that seems to me almost as far-fetched as defecting to the United States. He had many opportunities to go to South Korea. He did not. He did send a leader to his half-brother at one point, essentially pleading for his life, saying, to paraphrase, don't kill me.
So, don't kill me, please. So, Steve Herman, we know this has happened, and we assume that North Korea had something to do with it. Has Pyongyang responded at all? Have they said anything at all about it?
No, the only activity is among their diplomats in Kuala Lumpur. They've gone to try to get the body during the autopsy. It has not been handed over to them, and some police have gone to the North Korean embassy. So that's where the activity is. But I don't expect to hear any public issuances from Pyongyang about this.
Where would Kim Jong Nam's body go?
Well, right now it's just being held there. Malaysian authorities said
an autopsy obviously has to be
right,
conducted.
And Malaysian authorities said they are willing to release the body upon receipt of DNA confirmation from a relative. So right now it's just sitting in Kuala Lumpur.
If this was in fact an assassination, Steve Herman, What's to gain from performing an act as heinous as this outside of your country in international territory where a lot of questions could be asked? I mean, some could say that that's not a very wise move by Pyongyang.
There had been requests to Kim Jong Nam to go back to North Korea, and he was pretty smart in not adhering to those requests. So they had to get him outside the country. He spends most of his time in Macau. Obviously, if it had been done there, the Chinese would have been extremely upset. So Malaysia would have been a safer place. But obviously, this could really royal diplomatic relations between the two countries. They do have a visa-free entry for Malaysians can go into North Korea and vice versa. So I expect that might change.
So obviously everybody suspects that North Korea had something to do with it. It's not a big surprise, but should other countries be worried? Should China perhaps have any worries about this? Have to say something about it? Has China said anything?
Well, China expressed some dismay. There are some reports that the wives of Kim Jong Nam have received some extra protection in Macau and in Beijing as two
wives. Did you say?
He had two wives over the time, so they are receiving some extra protection, just as other high-profile North Korean defectors are receiving some extra protection in South Korea.
Steve Herman, is that family in danger? Are there any other siblings or family members that we need to be aware of? In the Kim Jong Kim Il Sung line?
There are a number who are outside of North Korea, and if I had the blood line of Kim Il Sung flowing through me, I'd be very nervous.
I'm pretty sure. So where does this go from here? I mean, we still have there's a lot of questions that remain, obviously, cause of death and motive, I suppose, right? Can you both sort of address that? What happens next?
Well, I would assume that the Malaysian police will continue to release more information, the results of the autopsy over the next few days, perhaps next week, as they conclude their investigation. But
this was obviously well planned out, and toxicology reports take a long time.
And that's going to be